term Shravaka refers to students of the Buddha who listen to his message like deer, and they're analogized to a deer cart in the sense that a few can travel in it. Buddhism has a spot for the Pratyeka Buddha, or private Buddha, someone who just practices on their own without connection to the Buddhist tradition, likened to a goat who goes on their own way. And the Mahayana, we may recall, calls itself the great vehicle, the Mahayana, because it can bring the most beings to the far shore of nirvana, as it did with Pure Land Buddhism among peasants in China. And so the Mahayana also, we remember, is associated with the cosmic salvation figure, if you will, of the Bodhisattva, who postpones their own awakening to help others awaken. These will play a big role in Vajrayana Buddhism, and the awakening of all sentient life is a Mahayana concern that the Tantric tradition maintains. But it goes further than merely promising an ox cart like a Mahayana, and claims to take one even further down the path. And this, unlike Mahayana, is not a path for the masses of peasants of China. Tantra is reserved for an elite few who can attain its high standards of practice and theory. Like all the Buddhist schools, one goes from a lower level to higher levels of awakening. This is standard Buddhist view. And the Tantric traditions are no different, starting with the outer tantras, as they're called. The strange concept comes with the idea of a deity. Generating a mind impression is literally what the term idam or ishta devata, a wished for God. In other words, not a real deity, not like Krishna, certainly not like Jehovah or Allah, but a product of your own consciousness, but also existing on some ethereal plane of consciousness. So the Kriya Tantra, Action Tantra, one begins by practicing mantras and simple mudras as part of the threefold practice of Tantric Buddhism, and generate familiarity with the deity. So as you begin the outer Tantric practices, you will look to see yourself as a subject in front of a great king who is the deity whose qualities you want in your own consciousness. So now with Tantric tradition, we expand the idea of gradual stages to awakening. In the Tantric tradition, they will look at the beginning practitioner as that Shravakayana, that hearer, the standard Buddhist who listens to scriptures. From there, an evolution up through the Mahayana, who has a higher level in the Tantric tradition's conception. And then the Vajrayana has an outer, a beginning level, and an inner set of Tantras, where one is getting awfully close to becoming a Buddha oneself. So one can meditate on a wished-for deity, an Ishta Devata, depending on what one wants to do. One Tibetan Lama told us that instead of coffee in the morning, he meditates on Vajrapani, or Diamond Foot, who represents energy. So they're not real deities in the usual sense. So now with the fifth level, the Charya Tantra, you're no longer the subject of the deity like a king. Now the deity is your friend, somebody you know pretty well through continued practice of mantra, mandala, and mudra. So number 6 of 9 stages is the Yoga Tantra, and we're getting to nearly the highest level of the outer tantras. And here you would obtain the empowerment of all 5 dhyani or meditated Buddhas. And you can see the whole universe as great emptiness and great luminosity of consciousness as well, believe it or not. So the inner tantras are where the rubber hits the road. the final 3 of the 9 stages. In the Anuttara Yoga, the unsurpassable Yoga Tantras, there are no longer external activities involved with your practice. These are all internal. And so these last 3 are hard to map out for an ordinary consciousness like mine. I don't have the mind of a great Vajrayana practitioner, but we're told that at the Mahayoga level, one can see the entire universe as a great mandala of which you and everyone you know are a part. This is also called the generation stage, preparing the tantric practitioner for the final 2 stops on the way to nirvana. Once again, without having done the practices, it's hard to differentiate these ethereal mental states they're talking about, but this involves the path of skillful means, how to apply the awareness of the universe as a great mandala of luminous, empty consciousness. And this culminates in the final stage of Ati Yoga, where one's consciousness has dissolved into the universe and become pure light of emptiness or zero-ness, as we discussed, and one has merged with the ultimate body of the Buddha, the Dharmakaya Buddha. As we can see in this Tibetan mandala, this individual has dissolved into pure Buddhahood, attaining what is called the rainbow body. Great tantric practitioners have attained the rainbow body at their death, where their body emanates rainbow light for many days, and what's left is a small package where there had been a full human being, believe it or not. So then how do we work our way through the stages of tantric Buddhist awakening?